The dead should stay buried. But what happens when they don't? I learned that love can transcend death, but not always in the way we hope. Sometimes, it twists into something far more terrifying. This is the story of how my mother returned, and how her love for me became a nightmare I will never escape. Stay with me because once you hear it, you might start seeing her too. It rained on the day we buried my mother, the sky weeping alongside me. She had passed suddenly, a heart attack that left no time for goodbyes. As I stood by her grave, soaked to the bone, I whispered promises into the muddy earth, vowing never to forget her. That night, our home felt empty in ways I couldn't explain. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of the lights seemed to announce her absence. Yet, as I drifted off to sleep, I caught a whiff of her perfume, lavender and old paper, lingering in the air. At first, I convinced myself it was grief playing tricks on my senses. I wanted to believe she was still with me, watching over me like she always had. I clung to that thought as I shut off the bedside lamp. But as the darkness swallowed the room, I heard the soft scrape of fingernails against my door. 3 deliberate taps. Pause. Then the knob began to turn slowly as if someone on the other side was testing it. Frozen in place, heart hammering against my ribs, I watched the door creak open just an inch. A whisper floated through the crack, a voice so familiar it wrenched at my soul. "Darling, why are you scared?" I wanted to answer, to reach out, but terror kept me rooted. That was the night I realized, my mother hadn't really left me, and she was no longer the woman I remembered. Days blurred into each other after that night. Every room in the house began to feel colder, the walls heavy with an unseen presence. Friends who visited remarked on the chill, wrapping their arms around themselves and casting nervous glances down hallways they refused to walk alone. I tried to dismiss it. I told myself it was grief, the loneliness warping my mind. But deep down I knew the truth. One afternoon as I was cleaning the attic, I found a box of old letters addressed to me, ones my mother had written but never sent. They were full of desperate apologies and warnings, speaking of things I couldn't understand. "If anything happens to me, stay away from the house," one letter pleaded. "Don't listen to my voice. Don't open the door." The final letter was the worst. They promised me eternity, but I didn't know the cost. Chills raked my spine as I crumpled the paper in my hand. What had she done? That night I heard the same 3 taps on my bedroom door. But this time they were louder, angrier. The voice was harsher too, rasping my name like a curse. "Let me in." Tears burned my eyes as I pressed my back against the bed frame, whispering prayers into the suffocating darkness. I realized then that whatever wore my mother's voice, it wasn't my mother anymore. I didn't sleep at all that night. When morning finally came, sunlight spilling across the floor, I dared to open the door. Nothing was there. No marks, no footprints. Only that thick, heavy perfume choking the air. Desperate for answers, I sought out Mrs. Camden, an old neighbor known for her knowledge of strange happenings. Her house smelled of sage and old wood, the windows lined with strange symbols I didn't recognize. When I told her about the taps and the voice, her face paled. She gripped my hands with surprising strength and whispered, "She's trapped between worlds. You have to let her go, or she'll take you with her." I asked her how, my voice trembling. "Burn what ties her here," she said. "And you must never, ever answer the door." That night, armed with matches and trembling hands, I gathered everything that once belonged to my mother. Her favorite shawl, her old diary, the locket she wore every day. I built a small fire pit in the backyard and fed each item to the flames, watching the smoke coil and dance under the stars. For a moment the air grew still. I thought it was over. Then I heard it, screaming. A sound so raw and full of rage that it tore through the night like a blade. And standing just beyond the firelight, was a figure. Thin, twisted, eyes burning with grief and fury. It was her. But it wasn't her. Not anymore. After the fire, I tried to leave the house. I packed a small bag and rushed to the front door. But as I reached for the handle, it turned cold under my touch, frost spreading from my fingers to the wood. The door refused to open. The whole house seemed to pulse, breathing, alive with malevolent intent. In the mirror across the hallway, I caught a glimpse of her. Not the smiling mother from my memories, but a hollow-eyed specter, mouth agape in a silent scream. I staggered back, heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. Then came the whispers. "Stay here, with me? Forever." It wasn't just words. I could feel her inside my mind, her sorrow bleeding into my thoughts. Images flashed before my eyes, her death, her regret, the terrible mistake she had made bargaining for more time. I understood then, she didn't want to hurt me. She was desperate not to be alone. But her desperation was consuming her, twisting her love into something monstrous. As my vision blurred, I realized I was losing pieces of myself. The house wasn't just trapping me, it was merging us together. Unless I acted fast, there would be no me left at all. Summoning every ounce of willpower I had left, I stumbled toward the basement, the oldest, darkest part of the house. Mrs. Camden had warned me, where it began, it must end. In the basement, the air was thick and freezing. Shadows stretched across the walls like grasping fingers. In the center of the room I found it, my mother's old rocking chair, creaking gently even though there was no wind. I approached cautiously, clutching the last item I hadn't burned, the family Bible she used to read from every night. My hands trembled as I opened it, reciting the old prayers she once whispered over me as a child. The rocking chair stilled. The shadows seemed to recoil. But then, an ear-splitting shriek ripped through the room. The chair hurled itself across the basement. Objects flew from the shelves, crashing into the walls. And from the swirling darkness she lunged, half spirit, half memory. I didn't run. I stood my ground, clutching the Bible to my chest and shouting the words louder, stronger. "You have to let go," I cried. "This isn't love anymore." The figure paused, flickering like a dying flame. For a moment I saw her as she used to be, warm, kind, loving. A single tear rolled down her transparent cheek. And then, with a final sigh, she vanished. The house grew still. The door unlocked. I was free. But even now, late at night, I sometimes hear the faint creak of a rocking chair, and catch a whiff of lavender on the wind. The dead may never rest easily. And love, no matter how pure, can become a prison if we refuse to let go. Some nights I still wonder, was freeing her the right thing to do? Or did I just send her somewhere much worse? If you ever hear 3 soft taps at your door in the dead of night, don't answer, no matter how familiar the voice may sound.